So this week, I'm not a big musical fan. You two are uber super fans, especially Jason. I mean, you are the ultimate musical
guru.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You name a musical, this guy can hum it, sing it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people look at you and go, "Hey, listen, maybe he was a rock guy, enjoyed rap," and no, it's show tunes.
Musical. Yeah.
It's show tunes.
Wasn't your dissertation on the biblical worldview of show tunes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why you wore the green shirt today, because super fan.
Elf.
No.
Note to all the viewers: I am not a musical fan.
No.
Least favorite genre.
It is Jason's. So again, folks, he does this for the fans. Okay.
All two of you.
That's right.
By the way, to our one in Poland, welcome.
You have one in Poland?
Yeah, it's really weird. It keeps popping up, and I'm like, oh.
Listen, we bring cheer to around the world.
That's true.
So
that is true.
It's either a bot or it's a real person.
One thing about doing podcasts and looking at worldview in movies is you do see a lot of movies, right? And people might think that's fun until you have to see things you don't really enjoy.
Yes.
Then it's work.
Listen, I loved it. I'm a huge fan of musicals. Yes,
you are.
Yeah. Here we go.
Hey, I came out ready to sing my life as a musical. So I really did.
That would have been a depressing film, but
it would have. It's actually pretty pathetic. It's more dark theme.
Why do you take it?
It's just for the people.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
I see dead people.
Hasta la vista, baby.
You can't handle the truth.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Okay, let's get in the movie. Wicked, obviously based on the highest grossing musical of all time. And it is a worldwide phenomenon. And so there's a lot going on in this film. And what's interesting is it's a musical, but there's only 20 minutes of music, songs in the film, actually.
It feels like 2 hours and 40 minutes of music.
Yeah, I think that's a lie.
So let's kind of get into it. So let's talk about Wicked, which is obviously a revisioned look at The Wizard of Oz. And we'll get into, there's some major differences as soon as you kind of re-envision that story based upon what the original story is. So let's talk about, what do you think is the central message of Wicked? In particular, what are some of the themes that you guys noticed in the film?
Friends and acceptance, right?
Right. Acceptance is a big one, right?
Yeah, Alphaba's skin color has been, it's the highlight. It's the one thing. I think one thing that she says is, my sister is a perfectly acceptable color, right? And that just really highlights, the challenges that she has of being ostracized, being kind of outcast her whole life. And then on the flip side, you do have an issue of corruption and lies, propaganda. Those kinds of things, I think, are central to the storyline.
Yeah. And pushing back against what society is pushing for.
Yeah.
There was a couple lines that I wrote in the regards to that I wrote that they said in the film, and
that's why he likes it so much.
I literally just smacked my chin on the mic. The first one is, "Don't let them change what you are."
Yeah.
Was a line that I noticed.
Yep.
And another one was, "My will is my own."
Yeah, I saw that too. And then she sings, Alphaba sings, "Shouldn't a good soul have a matching exterior," or something along those lines. Shouldn't the outside match the inside type of idea.
You know the actual line. Just sing it.
I actually don't. I typed it really quick.
And there was a question right at the beginning, are you born wicked?
Yes.
Which was, I was like, hello.
Yes.
I would say the theological issue of the entire film is that.
Yep.
You're not, right? Because that's what they would say.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
right.
The whole thing is one born wicked, or is wickedness thrust upon
that's right.
you?
Which they actually say that in the film. Yes.
Yeah. That one I did know. And my theological ears perked up on that. And I said, right. My wife even looked at me and I went, uh-huh.
She's like, you better write that down.
And then he started singing to her.
Yeah. No. And so as you think through it, like the whole entire film is a portrayal of how she moves from this caring, loving, self-sacrificing care for all of the people who are exploited, or even the animals who are exploited.
Right.
And then how does she become that wicked witch of the West character?
Right. And you've seen the musical, right? You said?
Yeah, a long time ago with my wife. Yeah.
Right. But you have not.
I
right?
have not. No. I know. I'm going to go see it now.
Are you really?
Yeah, actually, I told Stace last night. I was like, "We need to go. We need to go see this."
Because it'll be at Pantages.
One of the fun things were, I think the two original people in the musical showed up at the end, right?
Yeah, Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel.
Yeah, so I thought that was
and that's a new
creative
song that they wrote for them.
Oh yeah.
And so that was kind of fun.
I rely on you for all of that.
Yeah, I get that. That's fine. Listen, and I get it.
Not theology.
So
you anchor us. You anchor us in musicals.
That was great. My wife would be like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, "I know lots of things." She's like, "Yeah, pop culture. That's it." I'm like, "Okay, fine, whatever."
You are brilliant at pop culture. That's for sure.
Oh wow, it's not probably something I'd put on the resume.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was awesome. So one of the things that that I'd love to talk about is that you just talked about, which is kind of defining morality.
Yeah.
And how this film kind of portrays that in regards to, rejecting kind of worldly standards, and how like truth in particular is undermined in this film.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Yeah,
I think that's, at first, it goes to the core of the messaging of the film, and that is no one is wicked.
Right.
It is thrust upon because of circumstances. And I think the subtle twist in this musical is the fact that she's really not wicked. Right. She's portrayed as that.
Great point.
And inside, she is a righteous kind of person. Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously, as you look at Scripture and we evaluate the movie or musical, or I guess it's both. As you look at that, you immediately have to think through total depravity, which is not it's not an easy topic to discuss. Total depravity is not that you're as bad as you could ever be, but just that you have been impacted by sin in all aspects of who you are. So it's universal. Mm-hmm. Every person is depraved. Right. And we have inherited from Adam a corrupt nature and his guilt. And so it's not just universal, but it's also pervasive, every aspect of who we are, from our eyes to our speech, what we see, what we think, what we do, all of those things have been impacted by sin. And so nobody is morally neutral.
Right.
And that's what they claim, because it's a secular view. It's humanistic.
100%.
And
you see that with every character has some duality to them, right?
Yep.
And go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I was going to say that every other character outside of Alphaba is morally vapid.
Right.
They are self-consumed, self-promoting, and yet there's a part of them at some point that switches and is at some point interested in somebody else. At least the main characters in that.
The two.
From Glinda and the prince. I don't remember his name.
Because again, he appears at first, and obviously we'll see this with the sequel. If you know the show, you know that he ends up, he's in love with Alphaba, and ends up, kind of aligning with her.
Doesn't he turn into...
He turns into the Scarecrow, I believe.
Yep.
And then Bach turns into the Tin Man.
Yes. And then the cub that they saved is the...
That's right.
Is
the Cowardly Lion.
The Cowardly Lion.
That's right.
At least that's what I thought when I saw it. Right. I was like, oh, I could see him showing up later.
Yeah. So one of the things that I talk about in my film history classes, I have all these different kind of worldview stuff that they have to do. And this film would align with what I call a twisted story. So these stories portray good as bad, evil or stupid, and evil is portrayed as cool. And those are, we can go, and a lot of examples I often give the example of Ocean's 11. So Ocean's 11 is a film where in real life, we would never be rooting for 11 dudes to go rob anything. Mm-hmm. Okay. But you put Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Matt Damon, and it's fun. And
you sprinkle humor in it.
And suddenly you're like, yeah, go get him. And you make the guy who owns the casinos a jerk. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, go get him. But nowhere in the real world. So we want to be careful. Yes, those can be highly entertaining. And Ocean's 11, the remake, I think is a fun movie. But we need to be thinking through it. Mm-hmm. Because if we're not thinking through it, it can start to alter our own personal worldview and how we filter and watch it. And this movie's the same thing.
Yeah, I would add that there's something nefarious even with this movie. And it's not getting you to root for evil. I think there's something even deeper with Wicked, which is why I'm not a fan of it personally. And that is there's something called Luciferianism. And what that is, Luciferians are those who see Lucifer as the good guy. He's been portrayed as evil. He actually is the liberator, the guardian, the destroyer, the enlightener. He's going to be the guy that when he exposes Adam and Eve to the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that he's actually giving them knowledge. And the God that's portrayed is not really a God. He's powerless, and the one who has the true power is Lucifer. And so
which you see in this film represented by the wizard.
100%. The wizard is powerless, and Alphaba is the all-powerful one in this. And so, like, Luciferianism goes way back. I mean, it even has Gnostic tendencies.
And within film, it's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So if you look, like, matter of fact, there's a new film out right now called Dear Santa with Jack Black, where where a kid is writing a letter to Santa, but he's dyslexic, so he writes it to Satan, and Jack Black plays Satan, who comes and basically becomes this jolly kind of, but that kind of to rewrite who the evil one is, right? To deceive. Again, the irony is you've got the great deceiver deceiving into who he is. Right.
100%. And to your point, and I think it's a very great point, is that you can be entertained. I was entertained. Like I don't like the storyline. I really wrestle with the storyline theologically because of that. And I think that you can go in and evaluate it and just remind yourself of what biblical truth is and how a secular pagan film is going to try to portray things. And so, I think there's some significant issues with the underlying themes of the movie. But was it fun and entertaining? Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I'm not a musical genre guy, but I walked out going, that was a fun movie.
Little toe tapping, and then you walked out?
No, but
no toe tap.
Kept my hands in my pockets.
They wanted out.
Yes.
Like, no, you stay in your pockets.
Exactly. No
jazz hands.
But no jazz hands.
She's like, his wife's like, what time do you want dinner? I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dun, 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 dun.
You were born for that.
Yes. Takes off his hat. Oh, distractions.
Okay, so obviously a big part of this film, and we'll kind of wrap up here, is that there's a blurring of lines.
Yes.
And again, that's what Satan wants to do. He wants to blur the lines between good and evil and make it very murky. And we know that through Scripture, it is black and white. Right? There is good and evil. That line is not blurred. But again, this is what happened since the early 1900s when postmodern worldview kind of came in and basically flipped everything on its head. No absolute truth. And this is what you get when you start to do that. Any final closing thoughts?
I think one of the other things that struck me was the reason you resonate with it is we've all been misunderstood.
Sure.
And so you give some credence to that. And then you also have a world that is exploitative, right? It's exploiting all the people. There's propaganda, there's lies. They're making people think one thing when really they are nefarious at heart, even though they present themselves Madame Morrible and the wizard present themselves as these high righteous kind of characters when they're not. And I think what that does, and we'll see it in some of the other films that we look at, is that there's something within us, even unbelievers, that long for a righteous ruler. And as we think through from the biblical storyline, that we do have one who will come, the return of the king who will rule in justice and righteousness. And ever since Babel and Nimrod in Genesis 10, people have tried to rise up to exploit others through empires and things like that. Right. And I think you do have that kind of underlying tone where you side with her because she's misunderstood, because she's fighting against evil. And yet, really, in the original, she is evil. and she is wanting to kill Dorothy.
The original Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
story.
right.
Yes, that's
for
right.
the killing of her sister, right, with those feet dangling under the house, and that kind of thing.
She was portrayed as, again, kind of like a Darth Vader, the ultimate wicked, the wicked witch of the West.
Yep.
And again, back to clear delineations of good versus evil. The original has that.
Yeah.
Right. You still have a wizard, same kind of thing, who back to, so there is still some of that essence of the
facade.
A facade.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And so that's definitely there. But yeah, this, again, I think just with this type of movie, yes, you can go, like you said, have fun with, but you got to be careful. You got to be continually refreshing your mind in regards to what is the message that is being preached to me, because it's there and it's prevalent. Thank you for listening to Real Profs, a production of the Center for Thinking Biblically. To support this ministry, please visit thinkbiblically.org/donate. To learn more about the Masters University on-campus and online undergraduate and graduate programs, visit masters.edu.